Hello, savvy listeners. I am excited you are taking the time to invest in yourself today. Savvy, the business podcast, will show you how your daily habits can create your own platform. Experts will share solutions and efficient tips to create a roadmap just for you. One thing that can make this happen: change your habits, change your success. Welcome to Savvy, the business podcast. Hello, everyone. Thanks again for joining us on Savvy, the business podcast. As always, I bring you experts and guests to provide solutions, tips, tools, and all type of education information that can help you along the way of your professional or entrepreneur career. We're always about giving you things to help you grow, self-development, and just the interest of making sure that you have the things that you need to continue your journey. And today we have TJ Kasting with Ambassador Search Group on with us. And when you hear that name, you hear Search Group, I don't want you to think, okay, well, he's going to search for what? I'm an entrepreneur, or I already have people on staff. This is one of them times where you never know who you have on staff or when you need that additional help. So having someone like this in your Rolodex and within your hand reach is imperative to your success, because as things are changing, a lot of companies are going to go virtual. We're going to go with flex schedules. There's a lot of things that's going to change from our regular norm. There's a new norm coming, whether we want to accept that or not. There's a new norm that's coming. So we're going to get into talking with TJ and some of the things that he does and why he do what he does. So thanks, TJ, for coming on and talking to us this morning. How are you today?
I'm doing real well, Melissa. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to contribute to your listener base.
Absolutely. Well, we talked a little about, I mentioned, Ambassador Search Group. And of course, we tend to hit on certain words we hear as just as humans when we're hearing certain titles. So tell us a little bit about what is Ambassador Search Group and what services you provide.
So Ambassador Search Group is a literal, we chose the word ambassador because we are representatives of our clients in helping them find the most high quality talent possible for their team. So if you're out building a company, you know that you can be very good at executing the job technically, but you need really high quality people alongside you to do that, to grow your business to any scale. And so any leader's challenge is, where do I find these high quality people and how do I invest in them? How do I invest them into the culture that I'm building here? And so we are long-term strategic partners for companies that know that they want to recruit off of more than just job boards. They're not looking at, just unemployed people or job hoppers. They're looking for people that know how to contribute at a very high level for the long term. So the challenge with recruiting this type of person is they're not on the job boards. They're not, they're not looking on LinkedIn for a job. They're not browsing Craigslist. And so reaching them is pretty difficult. And it's really a full-time job, and it requires a lot of skill and rapport building and understanding. And what we do is we take a client's opportunity, and within the context of their company, because every job is different, and we go out to the market and we're ambassadors for that firm to the talent market, so to speak, people who are employed, talented, they're head down, and we tell them about the opportunity. And if there's a fit, what we'll do is we will assess that person, we'll assess their motivations, their character, and make a recommendation that these two companies, the people and the company, have a conversation. We'll manage that process. We'll make sure that everybody is doing their due diligence so that this conversation is being set up for the long-term success of the relationship. It's really a lot of emphasis on long-term, right? This is not a service that you'd want to engage with a short-term mindset or a low-quality culture.
Right. So, with that being said, of finding that right person, how would a company know that they need to reach out to someone like you to find that right person, where they may feel, okay, I have a staff of 4 people and they're able to execute these things. What are some of the things that they should look for to know whether they need to add someone to their team, or um, reduce the team and get someone else in to take on those tasks?
Yeah, so I think you're asking, how do you know whether or not to top grade your staff? Meaning, always be looking for high quality people to add to the team, and maybe end up replacing weaker team members so that you can continue to improve the quality of your company, or potentially add more team members as the company grows. And to that, obviously circumstances are going to dictate a lot of the sense of demand. The challenge is, many times by the time a leader has recognized, hey, we need to add staff,
Yeah.
you're a couple of months behind the curve, because a real solid recruiting process can take a couple of months, right? It might take a month to secure the right person for the interview. An interview process can take a month. Maybe that person needs to resign. And so you really need to be thinking strategically, long term, I would say a year out even. What are our needs going to be, and how can we be planning for that time delay to get the right person? If you're constantly behind the curve, you're chasing the position, that can also add a level of instability and chaos to that role, where they may be a talented individual, but they have to come into the company under quite a bit of pressure, and that can make succeeding in that role a little bit more challenging. And the other element is just always looking for opportunities to bring on really great people and replace lower performers. And I don't mean to say that in any sort of a harsh or cruel way. You want to invest in your people and give them every opportunity to succeed. But one of the elements that keeps an organization high performing is the recognition that nobody's here permanently if they don't contribute to the ultimate success of the team. This is not about individual success, this is about team success in a good culture.
Right. Would you agree that sometimes when we're, at that point, we get to, as it's just his human nature, we tend to think, okay, well, I don't want to get rid of nobody. Everybody needs a job. Everybody needs to work. This person has been with me for 5 years. They're loyal in the sense they show up every day. I don't have any issues out of them. But at the end of the day, they're not able to contribute or have the skill set that you need at this current time. They have not grown over the years. They have not taken the initiative to take online courses or whatever the case may be. What do you say to someone like that that's don't want to get rid of somebody because, oh, I don't want to seem, mean or put somebody out because I know they need to work?
Absolutely. And what you're that's a really great question. And to make it even to amplify the question, a lot of times you have a significant financial or training investment into that person, and so losing that can be really, really difficult. I think that's a really tough problem that a lot of leaders face. And I would answer it in two parts. My first encouragement would be to be a dream manager. And what I mean by that, there's a book called The Dream Manager. And it's really taking the responsibility as an owner of curating the career of your employees, and curating in a sense of helping them accomplish what they want to accomplish. And people are only going to take ownership in their careers to the extent that it aligns with where they want to go. So the more that you can help them accomplish what they want to accomplish, the more you can understand their strengths, their limitations, and you can really have a valuable, trusted coaching type relationship that when you need more out of them in a specific way, you have built the trust and the relationship to come to them and say, here's a challenge the business is up against. Can you expand your skill set in this area so that you can be more valuable to the company in this way? And because of that investment you've made, that person will often say, yeah, absolutely. Like, thank you for the opportunity. They want to step up, they want to grow. But if that person, so where that tipping point comes in, where you decide you might have to part ways, is will that person and in the end take ownership? So you can invest a lot into the coaching and developing this person, but at the end of the day, if that person, for whatever reason, doesn't want to take ownership of advancing themselves, then there's not much you can do about that. Your investment is inherently going to be wasted because their own personal ambition is not in alignment with that. And that's where I always recommend that it's time to part ways. And you may have an investment in that person, but it can really be detrimental to a company culture to allow those people to continue to persist in a company if they don't have a drive to continue to perpetuate and grow the vision. You need people who are ready.
In business, it's all about talking to your customer. That's how you sell. But how about your online customers? They're alone in front of your website. There is an easy solution. Get JivoChat and connect to your online visitors in real time. It takes less than 5 minutes to put JivoChat on your website. Sign up. Install code on your website. Get the Agent app for your PC, Mac, or mobile. Go to the admin panel and customize the settings. That's it. Soon you'll receive your very first message from a website visitor. Reply right away and watch the conversion rates soar. Proactive chat invitations engage your visitors and increase sales. Customer contacts are collected even when you're not online. See what your visitors type in real time and respond even faster. Use the pointer to highlight items on your site. Share documents with your visitors. Hand off chats to colleagues with one click. Detailed analytics show you how to grow your business and help you to make the right decisions. There's a lot more in JivoChat to help you turn visitors into happy customers. Start growing your business today with JivoChat.
You mentioned company culture. Now, with everything that's going on with COVID and the new normal, what do you see with the new normal of company culture? Because a lot of businesses, if they don't go virtual now, they have to change so many different things internally, because this was a wake-up call to so many people. And the ones that will go virtual or flex schedules, what advice would you give someone about the culture, the changes, and how they can adapt?
Yeah, so I would quote Peter Drucker, and I would say culture beats strategy. And what that means is sometimes when leaders are trying to solve a problem, they'll think about, what's a process that I need to implement, or what's the mechanical system that we can be successful with. And so going remote can be a tremendous challenge because it's harder to keep people accountable. You can't look out, you can't see them, you can't go talk to them immediately, and you might be behind a screen. And so there can be a level of fear from a leader that they just don't have as much control as they're used to having. And this is where you've got to make it up with culture. So, and this is where the strategy piece needs to play a close second. So culture really needs to be about a collective vision for how do we be a high performance company. And in that dream management that the leader has with each one of their team members, they have a very tight personal relationship with each individual and understand what this person is working on bringing to the team, and is challenging them to be creative in how they bring that to the team. So I'll give you an example. In our little company, it's speaking with each individual about what can you do to help us reinvent ourselves and invent ourselves, because that's what everybody should be doing right now. Is we don't know what the future holds, so get busy inventing the future. It's either going to happen to you or you're going to happen to it. And because nobody knows, I mean, not even the president of the United States knows what's going to happen next. And the actual reality of a COVID type situation is that's also true. It's just not as apparent to everybody that we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So this is really a great time for leaders to exercise their leadership ability, focus on building their culture around being a high performance organization. And, you know, leadership is built under pressure. It's built in crisis. And so the new normal, I hope, is going to consist of a lot of leaders who've stepped up to the plate and learned how to engage their team in a way that they wouldn't have necessarily had this not happened.
Okay. So, and you hit on a lot right there, and it's preparedness as well. What tools would you say to start getting prepared for? No, we can't say what's going to happen, you know, or what's, you know, heading our way, but preparedness. Some think that they're getting prepared and some are adjusting to it. But what are some things that you have seen or heard that we need to change?
Well, you know, it's interesting. I'd say the first thing is to be ready for change and to build one tenet of your culture being to always prepare your team to change. Mm-hmm. Just as a way of thinking, right? It's we're going to go through life constantly experiencing change, and business can get into a little bit of a routine, and in some sense routines are really good because that's how you can get efficient, you can be disciplined. And so I got nothing bad to say about routines, but you also need to be ready to change the routine. And that's what this virus has forced upon us is, hey guys, it's time to change. And so, you know, I'll tell you, I'll give you an example. So when we have meetings, go back in my notes a little ways, and we have focuses on, I don't even know if I can find, oh, here we go. So we've got 5 focuses in that we've defined for ourselves in this coronavirus situation. And I think these are going to continue to after it, which is be aggressive, have intentional high energy effort in everything that you do, be creative about relating value for and to others. We need to be busy making mistakes and learning from those mistakes very carefully. We need to be reevaluating how and why we do everything all the time. And that what that is sometimes we get so up in the weeds with the day-to-day of our business, we need to take a step back and realize, like, is there a chance to reinvent myself here? Is there a chance to reinvent my team or my business so that I can adjust to the situation, right? If you're not doing that and you've got your mind and your vision really narrowed in on the day-to-day, sometimes you might miss the train coming down the tracks, right? And like a famous example is like Kodak, big famous photography company, was the biggest in the industry, and they did not see the train of digital photography coming down the tracks, right? And so we've all got some sort of corollary to that in our businesses that we need to be thinking about. We want to be the train, right?
Yeah. Right. I like that analogy. You know, missing the train. There's going to be a lot that's missed or have missed that train. Because there's a lot of companies that this has not only hit, but hit, I mean, hard. They really felt the impact of that train coming down the tracks. And for those that may have missed the train or did not anticipate that train coming, they walk across them tracks all the time, but to them, oh, okay, it's nothing but a road, but not realizing if I have tracks, something have to travel across these tracks, and not the tracks are just here for decoration. So for those that's constantly walking across those tracks, not really paying attention to it, oh, train haven't come through here in years, I'm not worried about it. You know, I'm just going to travel across this. And then all of a sudden, here it comes, choo choo, you know, it's coming. What do you suggest, not only to jump out the way, but also let me grab on to this train and hop on it and see what I need to do to adjust?
You know, that's a great perspective. I love how you worked with that analogy, because I'm very enthusiastic actually about the opportunity that this virus presents, because my firm has been more creative and innovative than we've ever been before because of the pressure that we're under to do that. Yeah. And there's been a lot of talk about, you know, how do we adapt to this thing? And part of, I think the initial step is recognize that this is an opportunity. And, you know, businesses have had to go through 1 or 2 years of change compressed into 1 or 2 months. And that is brutal. I've had a number of 2 o'clock morning nights, where I'm up late trying to figure out what, how we're going to pivot, what are we going to do differently. And that's hard, but I would suggest to the leaders out there that we embrace this, because leadership is forged in crisis. You need pressure to help you grow. You
Yeah.
can expose your team to that pressure in a very healthy, productive, optimistic way and say, hey guys, the rising tide floats all boats, right? And so there's been a lot of boats that have been floating just simply because of a strong economy. We need to make sure that when the tide goes out, that we are still going to have water underneath us. And now's the opportunity. It's a good time to make sure that we are continuing to bring a lot of value to our customers, that we're building our relationships. Use this opportunity to invent the future. And also, there's a lot of shell shock going on right now, because the train was like an Amtrak bullet train. It came through at 200 miles an hour, and it plastered a lot of businesses. A lot of businesses that even felt somewhat immune to economic turmoil, right? Absolutely brutal. And that just reinforces the need that we just need to be adaptable. Nike in 1977 came out with a list of organizational priorities. And then the first one that they had on their list was, our business is change. Mm-hmm. Right out of the gate, right to the team. If you're not in the business of change of yourself, of the business, if you want status quo, this isn't the business for you. And I would just encourage every owner out there, just, embrace it.
Right.
Jump on the train.
Yeah, hop on the train and try not to miss that step. Right. So, and you're right. It was like a bullet, and you used the word immune. And my opinion is, I don't care what type of business you're in, even if you're a professional working at a corporation, whoever you are and wherever you are, no one is immune to anything. And I think this was a huge wake-up call to so many that was in that immune state, or even the ones that wasn't in the immune state, but still was kind of, shake it off type mentality. When this came through, there was no warning. There was no red flag. There was no alarm sounding off. There was nothing. All of a sudden, it hit. And then, okay, yeah, we heard it in another country, whatever. Still, a lot didn't wake up to it. And before you know it, it just rapidly just did its thing. And the world was shut down and forced to settle in. And before this happened, we were so prone to our technology, our devices, while we was constantly, had them, in front of us. We're texting, we're DMing, we're emailing, all of these things, and we didn't pay attention to our surroundings. We got, it's like blinders came on, and we had those blinders, and I could look left and right, but we really didn't see what we needed to see. And now we have to take those blinders off. We put down the phone. Conversations are actually starting to happen again, even though it may be virtual type of conversations, but people are picking up the phone. They're doing the Zoom conversation. They're doing the social media conversations. They're getting away from that. How do you see this going back to how, I don't want to say exactly maybe the 90s, but going back to some of those things? So yeah, we had phones, but not like today. How do you see some of the things going back, and hard copies, and changing a lot of that?
Yep, absolutely. Well, there certainly is going to be a strong push or move towards digitalization and virtualization. But I think the bigger question is, what does the new normal of human nature look like? And so there is going to be a strong pull back to the status quo, right? I mean, complacency is a little bit baked into human nature, right? Or maybe the line between complacency and routine is a little fuzzy, right? And maybe some of us are realizing like, hey, maybe I was a little complacent, and just because things were going well, it's hard to tell. And I think once this is over, the new normal is going to be a return to some degree of that complacency. It's just human nature.
Right.
But one thing that we can really learn is this is the value of relationships, the value of alliances. And I say alliances specifically because, you know, the business world is so hard and it's so competitive and it's so demanding that you deliver value. If you're trying to do that by yourself, it's really, really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I think of my business in some sense as an expression of myself in a corporate manner. It's like it's my painting, it's my masterpiece, so to speak. It's, and not to say that it is a masterpiece, it's my masterpiece. It's the best that I can do. But the thing that I can do to continue to make it better is I can make friends with other business owners. I can learn from them. I can learn how to help them. I can bring more value to them. And one thing I've noticed, and I hope your listeners have as well, is businesses with a strong priority on relationships have really done a good job of coming together and giving each other flexible payment terms, providing services for free, and in taking risks, relational risks, to build these alliances. And we need to be doing that all the time, regardless of whether or not there's a crisis. We need to have unity, and it's not just about my objectives and my business and my bottom line and my revenue. I need to be focused on the success of other people, and the people who have that mindset are the ones that are going to thrive coming out of this situation. The new normal, so to speak, is going to be, the companies who have strong alliances.
Okay, so let's jump on the other side of it. We talked about, the businesses and things that they should look for with their team, and how that team should be able to contribute to the day-to-day operations. Now, on the other side of it, as a person going in, as an employee or intern or whatever they may be, what should they look out for when they are looking at a business to know, one, is it a right fit? The people in there, that culture, is that a culture that I can blend in with, or is it something I should stay away from? What are some of the things that they should look for?
Well, the first thing is personal responsibility within themselves. So everybody's heard the line, the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence, right? I mean, that's just like human nature, to take what we have for granted and look elsewhere. And so I think the great antidote to that line is the grass is greener where you water it. And so there's no company out there where you go to work for them and everything is perfect. It doesn't exist.
Right.
People are flawed, companies are flawed, my business is flawed. And what I look for in team members is a recognition that this is reality, and their responsibility and my responsibility is to make it as not flawed as possible, to work together for that. And my encouragement to people who are going into a team and considering what their contribution might look like is really take stock of what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses. You need to have a very transparent conversation with them about their strengths and weaknesses and your strengths and weaknesses, so that you can collaborate on how do we get the most value out of this relationship. And by the way, that is risky. You might not get the job because of that, but I would say that's a good thing. That's a good thing, because some jobs you don't want, and they may recognize that there's something about this relationship that's not a fit, and be grateful. Be grateful that they were looking out for you, that they're looking out for their organization. Don't just try to win the job no matter what. And so that's the first part. Take personal responsibility for your contribution within the organization. Be a servant leader. And the second part is and to do this, you need an understanding of business. You need an understanding of people, of leadership. You need to develop yourself so that you have the maturity to assess these things. But you need to do a real assessment of the company. What is the quality of leadership? What is the quality of their systems and processes? Where are they strong? Where are they weak? And do I see myself getting excited about helping them move the ball forward in their vision. What is the long-term vision? Where do they want to be in 10 years, 100 years? Do I want to contribute to this legacy? And to ask those questions really, it needs to get us out of the mindset of how much am I going to get paid and what are my benefits. Don't focus on yourself. Don't focus. That conversation comes after, right? If everything looks good, then look at the compensation, look at the value to you financially. But focus on the value this organization can bring to you, and the value that you can bring to this organization from a fulfillment standpoint. What people often misunderstand is job satisfaction doesn't come from compensation. Job satisfaction comes from contribution. It comes from relationships. It comes from feeling important, feeling valued, being important and being valued, and knowing that this company would be weaker without you. Those type of people don't focus on their compensation, but they also tend to be compensated very well, because what kind of company doesn't want to hire that type of individual? A little bit of a complex and long-winded answer to your question, but it's a complex issue.
Right, it is. And once all of this COVID settles down and we start, getting through the end of it, even though they're saying, okay, it's going to be another peak. We don't know when that's going to happen or if it's going to happen. But at any rate, once that peak happen or don't happen and we start going towards the end of this, the unemployment rate is, it's high. And there are so many people that's going to look for jobs, ready to work, going to take the first thing that comes up. And I get it, I understand, because you have a work, you need the income. But what are some of the mistakes you see people making, and what can they do to prevent some of those mistakes?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm concerned about the unemployment. The government's not going to be able to pay everybody's salaries forever. And there are some businesses that are not going to recover from this, and those people are going to need jobs. And so competition is going to go up for jobs. And I'm concerned about some people being hurt in that process. And so my passionate, heartfelt plea to everyone is be very busy investing in yourself, because one, economically, the way we pull out of this is through business. We need business owners who are very busy bringing value to the market, and we need employees, members of those teams who are very busy bringing value to the market in all of these different arenas. And that same apathy or complacency that had a lot of businesses get hit by the train, it's also true for individuals, right? And we just can't afford to be like that or think like that anymore. So if people are taking this time and they're enjoying their unemployment money and they're catching up on their Netflix, I'm really concerned for what the future might look like.
Yeah.
If they're not adapting to the times. Now is a great time to go get skills, go read books, go learn, learn how to be a better leader, go learn how to contribute at a higher level. I would even recommend people call their manager or call the boss, call their owner of the firm and ask them, how can I be helpful to you right now? You may not be able to pay me right now, but what can I do to help us move forward? Because business owners need that. They're carrying a lot of weight. They are undergoing unbelievable amounts of stress and change. They've lost team members they've invested a lot into. And if you can show them that you are a part of the solution, that's really, really valuable. They need that desperately.
Right. And now, we have the train going down. We keep jumping back to the train, but we have the train going down the tracks. And for a lot of people that miss out on opportunities before for a variety of different reasons, and you have opportunities to create a business, purchase a franchise, or do some of the things that you've always wanted to do, because not only will things change, but now once the markets start coming back, you're going to be able to get lower rates on office buildings or supplies or whatever, because people are trying to recoup.
Yep.
You know, it's not going to be always about, you know, jacking up the price or staying at their regular price. They don't want to inflate that because they kind of see where it is and they've lost so much already. So let me lower this a little bit and start getting people in, and we'll fix, you know, we'll fix this later. What do you, you know, say about, you know, people getting ready to jump back on and, you know, buy a business, buy a franchise, or create a business opportunity?
Two things. One, you're absolutely right. So that's the silver lining. Everybody needs to be busy and zipping is there's a lot of chaos. There's a lot of opportunity in a market like this. You know, don't be static. Don't be passive. Look for that opportunity. Now, starting a business in an environment like this is perilous um, for different reasons than it's perilous in a good market. But you need to be ready to work extremely hard
Yeah.
and not just work extremely hard, but work on your leadership talent. Like leadership is the pure catalyst of real business growth because that's what allows you to build sustainable relationships with your employees, with your customers, and be long-term meaningful to the market. So now's a great time to start a business if you have the right mindset towards people and your business, being a servant to others. Don't start it thinking you're just going to hit the jackpot. You know, it's going to be a long, hard road, but it's worth it. You know, it's a business is a what is it? A self-development process disguised as a career.
I like that. That's interesting. And you've used this word more than once throughout our conversation, is a servant. And I like that. I want to jump back to that because that goes to where a lot of people go into business or either looking for a job, and it's, you know, how much am I going to get paid? How much, you know, can I grow? And the growth isn't about the business. The growth is about the bank account. And that's misrepresentation because if you're that servant, the first thing you're going to worry about is the customer service, the quality of the work. You know, can you provide the quantity of it? So you're looking at those things and being a servant. How can I help? What can I do to gain your business? What can I do to help my team members? So with being a servant, you keep going back to that. And I like that because that's showing the other piece of what you should do. Or some people have said this, you know, don't chase the money will come. Yeah, it's one of those things of how can you serve your customers or your clients?
Yep. Yeah, I think this is the fundamental key element of a really successful business that people are proud to work at is servant leadership. And the way I think about it in my own head is, you know, typically you've got this pyramid, this organizational pyramid, right? And here's me, the owner, and I'm the boss, right? And all this, I have all this power and authority up here, and I tell all my underlings what to do, and I coordinate. And what can really happen is, and this is lethal, this is totally fatal to leaders, is you get arrogant, and arrogance creates blindness. It breaks relationships. You fail to see your opportunities for growth, and it really stunts everything. Everything about you is stunted, and a lot of those leaders experience failure, but because of that arrogance, not only are they blind to what caused the failure, they're blind to the failure itself, and they end up living in this small little world of their own creation where they're the biggest thing in that world. But it's a small world, it's a small impact, and it's really sad. You flip the triangle upside down, and then the triangle's like this. And as the leader right here, you are responsible for the success of everyone in your organization. You are responsible for helping them succeed. And if you're busy helping your people succeed, your business will succeed. And on top of that, they will love you for it. They will work harder for you. They will be more loyal. You will retain them. You will love them. They will love you. You will enjoy such a fruitful relationship with those people, as that's where this analogy of a family comes in, where you become a family. You're a team, a tight-knit team that works together. And this does not mean that you don't hold people accountable. It's because you hold them accountable that you can create this kind of high performance culture. But it starts with the leader, right? They've got to flip the organizational structure. They've got to see themselves as the catalyst of growth through servant leadership. They've got to see other people as more important than themselves. And that is really, really difficult. There's a lot of opportunities for failure and frustration in there. And to the people who want to do that, I would say there's gonna be a lot of failure, and it's very iterative, and you try and you learn and you fail and you learn and you fail and you learn, and just keep at it. You will grow, and your team will be inspired to do the same thing. They'll follow after you, your model. And that's when your company gets pretty exciting.
I love it. That is a great tip to end with. And the conversation has been really informative and hitting on a lot of the reality of today and what we have to look forward to. And I think this conversation was truly, is truly needed for everybody today, because we're all in different areas. Some of us are closer to the front of the train, some of us in the middle, and some are so far at the end of that train, even in an open trailer that, we fixing to fall off in just a second. If for some people it's getting, that bad. But like you say, we're enjoying the unemployment money, the stimulus checks come in, and we're catching up on our Netflix and, figuring out what we can still buy on Amazon and everything else, instead of, going online, investing in yourself. I see things online now, courses for $30, $20. And then of course you have the places like Udemy and places like that they can learn variety, of skills. So thank you, TJ, for coming on and sharing with us today. It was truly enjoyable.
Thank you, Melissa. It was really an honor to be on here, and I hope people found this helpful. If there's any other way that I can help people, please feel free to reach out to me. My email address is tj@ambassadorgroup.com, just tj@ambassadorgroup.com. And, perhaps there's ways that I can help people specifically if they have challenges around hiring great people.
Okay. And what about on social media?
So we are on LinkedIn. That's really where our focus is. I've got a personal Twitter account, but LinkedIn is really the best place to connect with us. Ambassador Search Group on LinkedIn.
Okay. All right. Thanks again for coming on with us. And we look forward to hearing from you again as we get closer to the end of this COVID.
Absolutely. Yeah, my pleasure.